Gambling equipment. In World War II, stuff like dice, cards and even pinball machines was banned in combat zones for causing fights, deaths and distractions from duty. Many also believed gambling tempted fate when luck meant life or death. Officers confiscated these items before deployments to maintain discipline. At the same time, cities across the US outlawed pinball machines, linking them to organized crime, corruption and wasted wartime resources. New York's mayor banned pinball in 1942, arguing its metal parts should serve the war effort. Other cities did the same. Today, soldiers can gamble off duty, but gambling equipment remains restricted in combat zones to prevent distraction and not test luck on the front line. Incendiary weapons were widely used in World War II, from firebombs, oil bombs and thermite grenades to flamethrowers and improvised Molotov cocktails. German and Allied firebombs scattered magnesium and thermite bomblets that ignited entire cities like Dresden, where 25,000 civilians died in one night. The British No. 76 grenade combined phosphorus and benzene for intense self-igniting blasts, while the Soviets used specialized Molotov launchers. Flamethrowers such as the US M2 and Germany's Flammenwerfer 35 were used to clear bunkers and trenches, though enemy models were banned for their brutality and backfire risks. Napalm became the most notorious variant, used from 1944 onwards in both aerial bombing and ground assaults. After the war, these weapons were condemned for their indiscriminate cruelty. Under Protocol 3 of the 1980 UN Convention, their use against civilians or in populated areas is prohibited, and airdropped incendiaries near civilian zones are banned. Some countries like the US still permit possession under strict controls, though many states ban sales. Debates continue over loopholes involving white phosphorus and other weapons with similar effects still used today. Enemy propaganda flyers, like Japanese surrender leaflets, were banned during World War II because they could spread fear, doubt or disloyalty among troops. Commanders ordered soldiers to burn them immediately to prevent morale drops or espionage, though many secretly kept copies hidden in journals or ration tins as souvenirs. The same rule remains today. Modern militaries restrict handling or sharing enemy propaganda like ISIS flyers in combat zones under operational security laws, treating such material as psychological weapons. Sharing or selling active propaganda can violate anti-terror and security laws. Booby traps were widely used in World War II by German and Japanese forces, despite bans via the Hague Conventions. The Japanese used traps with feces-coated punchy stakes and spike pits for infection. The Germans were infamous for their potato masher stick grenades, which they modified to remove the time delay mechanism, causing them to immediately explode when the string was pulled. These booby trap grenades were left to kill advancing enemies. US units were ordered not to copy such devices to avoid war crime liability. After the war, these inhumane traps were totally outlawed. Civilian replicas are also illegal in many jurisdictions. Biological weapons use bacteria, viruses, fungi or their toxins to cause disease or death. Their use was first banned under the 1925 Geneva Protocol, but some nations ignored it during World War II. Japan's Unit 731 was the only force confirmed to deploy them, releasing plague-infected fleas over Chinese cities and testing deadly pathogens like anthrax, cholera and typhus on prisoners, causing massive outbreaks that killed thousands. Other nations, including the US, UK, Germany and the Soviets, conducted research but never used biological weapons in combat. Britain's secret anthrax tests on Gruinet Island left it so contaminated that it remained off-limits for decades. Today, all biological agents are completely banned under the 1972 Biological Weapons Convention, which outlaws their development, production and stockpiling worldwide, with life imprisonment for violators. Personal cameras were banned in most combat zones during World War II for security and superstition reasons. Commanders feared photos could expose troop positions or classified equipment if captured or mailed home. Cameras were often confiscated on site. Many soldiers also believed taking photos before missions brought bad luck, saying that anyone pictured might not return. War photography was handled only by designated propaganda units, such as the German Propaganda Company, commanded by Hasso von Wedel, which supplied material from the front to Goebbels. The band's legacy continues. Modern militaries restrict personal cameras, smartphones and recording devices in war zones to prevent leaks, GPS tracking and exposure of classified missions. Chemical weapons were banned for use in war by the 1925 Geneva Protocol, though it didn't forbid their development or stockpiling. During World War II, Germany and Japan violated the ban in different ways. Japan used agents like phosgene, mustard gas and lewisite against Chinese troops, while Germany used Zyklon B and carbon monoxide to murder civilians in concentration camps. Germany also developed advanced nerve agents like tabun, sarin and soman, produced them in large quantities and forced prisoners to work in the factories, where many died from exposure. Despite this, Hitler banned their use on Allied troops, fearing retaliation. The Allies also maintained large stockpiles, and both the US and UK tested mustard gas on their own soldiers, including Indian and non-white troops, to study its effects. It wasn't until the 1993 Chemical Weapons Convention that all development, production and stockpiling were fully outlawed. Today, chemical agents of any kind are banned in warfare, even tear gas and pepper spray, which remain legal for police, but illegal for soldiers to use in combat. Alcohol and homemade brews were banned in many active zones during World War II after drinking led to accidents, violence and failed missions. Modern militaries still restrict alcohol in combat areas for the same reasons. However, Nazi Germany strongly discouraged drinking through campaigns that promoted sobriety, especially among youth, and punished excessive use harshly. Soldiers caught drunk or committing crimes under the influence faced severe penalties, sometimes even execution. But enforcement of this was inconsistent. Some troops, including those involved in mass killings like the Einsatzgruppen, received extra alcohol rations to dull their nerves. After the fall of France, Hitler and military leaders blamed rising indiscipline on alcohol abuse and tightened punishments. Dum-dum bullets, or expanding hollow point ammunition, are designed to expand on impact, causing big gaping wounds that are difficult to treat. They were banned under the 1899 Hague Declaration for causing unnecessary suffering, and soldiers caught with them faced courts-martial. Despite the ban, the Japanese, Americans and Finns reportedly used dum-dum rounds on rare occasions. Such ammunition remains illegal in warfare under the Geneva Conventions, though it's allowed for hunting and self-defense, with export restrictions under US law. Cluster munitions scatter many small bomblets to hit enemy troops, infrastructure and vehicles, but they also leave unexploded fragments that maim civilians and create no-go zones. Germany's SD-2 bombs hit Grimsby, and the Soviets used them at Kursk in World War II, sparking informal restrictions after heavy civilian deaths. In 2008, the Convention on Cluster Munitions banned their use and production, and required destruction of stockpiles and clearance of contaminated land. Over 120 countries joined, but major powers like the US, Russia and China remain outside the treaty. Battlefield trophies. Soldiers were forbidden from keeping enemy weapons, trinkets or trophies, like pistols, daggers and looted Nazi flags or patches, because they added weight and could be booby-trapped, like the German Luger pistols, which killed several GIs in 1944. Allied regulations forbade displaying captured Nazi insignia to prevent morale boosts or glorification, and some troops believed such items were cursed. These rules remain in force today. Modern militaries prohibit taking battlefield trophies without clearance, with penalties including jail, and looted Nazi symbols are banned or tightly restricted in many countries, with fines up to €1 million and sales blocked on platforms like eBay or Amazon. Animal weapons. In World War II, the US experimented with bat bombs, releasing bats wearing collars with incendiary devices to ignite Japanese cities, many of which at the time were made of wood and paper. The Soviets trained anti-tank dogs to carry explosives as kamikaze weapons. Both were shelved as unethical. Today, such weapons are still banned under the 1980 Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons. Poison bullets have been banned since the 1675 Strasbourg Agreement and under the 1925 Geneva Protocol. World War II saw German forces develop hollow bullets filled with aconitine and 9mm cartridges containing ditron, a strong hallucinogen. Bullets like these were allegedly used in the 1944 shooting of SS chief Kurt von Gottberg by Soviet agents and by the Nazi security police Sicherheitspolizei on Soviet prisoners, though this is debated. Their battlefield use was limited due to contamination risks, retaliation concerns, and minimal tactical need. Most info on this is considered wartime propaganda. However, poison bullets remain prohibited under international law due to their unnecessary suffering. Pets and mascots, like dogs, cats, and pigeons, were banned from combat zones to prevent disease and avoid giving away positions, though soldiers often kept them secretly. In Britain, fear of bombings and food shortages led to the 1939 civilian-driven mass euthanasia of about 750,000 pets, later seen as a tragic overreaction. Some famous wartime pets, such as Hitler's dog Blondie, became symbols of loyalty amid chaos. Today, militaries still forbid personal animals in war zones under rules like US General Order No. 1, citing hygiene and security risks. Balloon bombs were banned as early as the 1899 Hague Convention, which prohibited dropping explosives from balloons. Japan's World War II Fugo program used hydrogen-filled paper balloons carrying incendiaries and explosives launched across the Pacific to spark US forest fires and panic. Around 9,300 were released, with one causing the only US mainland deaths from enemy action during the war, 6 civilians in Oregon. The US enforced a media blackout to hide the attack's effects. Convincing Japan the plan failed, and the program was cancelled in April 1945, but some balloons were still found in North America years later. Britain also launched balloon bombs at Germany, though on a much larger scale in Operation Outward. Today, the 1899 rules still outlaw such unguided explosive devices, and modern drone laws extend those restrictions today. Jewelry and reflective items were restricted or banned in combat zones because shiny surfaces could expose soldiers to enemy fire. Despite this, many kept things like rings or medals, which sometimes led to fatal sniper shots. Civilians in both Axis and Allied nations also faced jewelry bans. Precious metals were confiscated or surrendered for the war effort. New jewelry production was prohibited to conserve gold and platinum for military use. The same rule survives today, with modern troops prohibited from wearing jewelry, watches, or polished insignia, and uniforms designed with matte finishes to avoid glare.